I want to get more context, more perspective with regards to these elections and the significance of these Zimbabwean elections. We're now joined via Zoom by investigative journalist Hopewell Chinono. He's live for us in Harare. Hopewell, thank you very much indeed for your time. Welcome to the agenda.
Thank you very much for having me, Blaine.
Talk to us firstly about reporting on the ground in terms of the build-up to these elections.
I think the build-up to these elections was a terrible reflection of the state of affairs in Zimbabwe. The voters' roll is shambolic. There were so many irregularities that were picked up and they were not attended to. The main opposition leader, Nelson Chamisa, who is the leader of the Citizens Coalition for Change, SABC, was not allowed to campaign. He had 5 rallies that were banned, whilst his competitor Emmerson Mnangagwa and the puppet opposition, which is controlled by ZANU-PF, MDCT, was allowed to campaign. One SABC supporter was killed in Kwekwe. There was so much violence that tens of people ended up going into hospital to be treated for serious injuries. There was also an issue of voter buying. ZANU-PF was going around breaking the electoral law, giving people mealy-meal, and asking people to take photographs of their ballots and in exchange for hambas after today, which is also not allowed by the electoral law in Zimbabwe. But the problem that we have, Blaine, is that we have got a Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC, which is captured by ZANU-PF. It plays for one of the competitors, which is ZANU-PF. Today, we have seen situations where voters are turning up at polling stations and their names are not there. But if you go to the electoral register using your phone, your name will be there. That's part of voter suppression that's taking place. The idea is to reduce the number of voters that get access to actually cast their ballot in opposition strongholds, which are in urban areas, and bump up the numbers in rural areas where ZANU-PF claims to have a big social base.
Talk to us about what's at stake here for the people of Zimbabwe, on the ground, citizens voting in these elections. Depending on the results, which way it goes, can citizens expect any change?
This particular by-election season is not going to bring any change as such, but what it's going to do, what it has done, it has allowed the opposition in Zimbabwe, the regional community, including South Africa, and the international community to see that the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission under the present government is not capable of running a credible election. The problem that we face, Blaine, is that because of contested elections, Zimbabwe continues to be spiraling out of control economically. The economy is dead. And because the economy is dead, millions of Zimbabweans are going to South Africa. So it is important for South Africa to realize that if the political situation in Zimbabwe is not resolved through a credible election, the Zimbabwean issue ceases to be a foreign policy issue in South Africa. It's becoming a domestic issue because coming into South Africa, putting pressure on social services in South Africa. And there is now tension in communities in South Africa because South Africans who are not skilled are saying that Zimbabweans are taking their jobs. That would not be the case if Zimbabwe was holding credible elections. I came across a statistic by your Home Affairs Minister in South Africa saying that 75% of women giving birth at Musina Hospital in South Africa are from Zimbabwe. And for you to understand the context of why it's like that, the biggest hospital in Zimbabwe has got only one maternity theater, which was built in 1977. So the political crisis in Zimbabwe can only be resolved through a credible election. And South Africa and SADC have got a bigger role to play. If they don't, the region will continue suffering from the instability of uncontrolled migration and immigration.
What can they do practically, SADC, that is, in order to, as you say, ensure a credible election? We know that President Mnangagwa has been calling for peace during campaigning. In terms of creating this conducive environment for free and fair elections, what needs to happen practically now in order to ensure that?
What needs to happen practically now is that the Zimbabwean government must follow the constitution of the country, and they must follow the protocols, election protocols for SADC. The crisis that we have today, Blind, it's a case of a government that does not follow its own rules. The election rules are very clear about what is supposed to be done and what cannot be done. But the government of Zimbabwe has been violating these election laws time and time again. SADC has got protocols, election protocols that are supposed to be followed. They have been violating these protocols. All SADC, especially South Africa, need to do is to make sure that these laws are followed. It's not rocket science. There's nothing complex about what's happening in Zimbabwe. It's simply a government that does not want to follow the rule of law.
Investigative journalist Hopewell Chinono in Harare, thank you very much indeed for your perspective. Be well.
Thank you very much.